Hello everyone. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. Your support helps us bring you more stories like this. Now, let us begin. Martha Eling was born in 1896 in Paris, the fourth child of Nicholas Eling and his wife Marie. The family included 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and they lived a modest life shaped by steady labor and limited means. Nicholas worked as an ornamental metal worker, employed by a large firm in the eastern part of the city, while Marie earned income as a cleaner. By 1907, the Eling family resided at 76 Rue Roussenoir, a densely populated working-class neighborhood marked by workshops, small factories, and crowded tenement buildings. Life in the area was difficult. Apartments were often overcrowded, running water was limited, and sanitation was inadequate. Despite these conditions, the Eling household was orderly and law-abiding. Both parents believed strongly in education and insisted their children study diligently in hopes of securing better opportunities than those available to them. Martha attended the municipal school alongside her younger sister, Maria. Teachers and neighbors described her as gentle, intelligent, and affectionate. Though lively in nature, she was also cautious and known to be wary of strangers. Her behavior reflected both curiosity and restraint, qualities shaped by her upbringing and environment. Among the people familiar to the family was Albert Solomon, a 22-year-old factory worker who made carriage seats. Married and living nearby, Solomon visited the Eling home regularly and was regarded as a family friend. At this stage, nothing about his presence raised concern, and he was treated with trust and familiarity. On January 31, 1907, Martha Eling did not attend school. Shortly after midday, Albert Solomon arrived at the Eling family apartment. He told Martha's mother that his wife, Julianne, had been given 2 tickets to an afternoon performance at the Bataclan Music Hall and asked whether Martha might like to accompany her. Madame Eling hesitated before responding. She worried that Solomon himself might take the child rather than his wife. Solomon reassured her, explaining that another neighbor had originally planned to attend with her daughter, but could no longer go, and had given the tickets to Julianne instead. After this explanation, Madame Eling agreed and allowed Martha to go to the theater. Martha quickly changed her dress and appeared visibly happy at the prospect of attending a performance. For a girl of her age and background, such an outing was an uncommon treat. Shortly afterward, she left the apartment with Albert Solomon. Unbeknownst to Martha's family, Julianne Solomon did not go to the theater that day. She worked in a sewing factory, and her employer required her to remain at work to complete an urgent order. As a result, she was unable to leave. The child was last seen by her family as she departed with Albert Solomon earlier that afternoon. These moments marked the final confirmed sighting of Martha Eling before she failed to return home, setting in motion the events that would soon unfold. As the afternoon passed into evening, Martha did not return home. At first, her parents assumed that there had been a delay and expected her to arrive shortly. As the hours continued to pass, concern grew steadily. By early evening, anxiety had replaced patience, and her parents began to fear that something was wrong. Albert Solomon later came to the Eling apartment and offered an explanation. He claimed that his wife had been unable to attend the theater, so he had taken Martha himself to avoid disappointing her. According to his account, during the performance, Martha left her seat to go to the bathroom and never returned. He said that he searched for her for hours but was unable to find her. Martha's parents struggled to believe what they were being told. Still hoping to locate their daughter, they went out to search places she might have gone, including nearby parks and the homes of friends. When their efforts brought no results, they went to the local police station around 10 o'clock that night to report her disappearance. Albert Solomon accompanied them and repeated the same account to police officers. He spoke calmly and appeared concerned. Martha's older brother openly questioned Solomon's story, stating that it seemed strange and unconvincing. The police chief also found the explanation suspicious and ordered immediate efforts to locate the missing child. Following the report of Martha Eling's disappearance, police officers were dispatched throughout Paris in an effort to locate the child. Despite these searches, no trace of her was found that night. The following morning, the police chief ordered Albert Solomon to be placed under arrest as a precaution, while further inquiries were conducted. When questioned again, Solomon stated that people at the Bataclan Music Hall could confirm his presence there with Martha. Investigators contacted theater staff, but none were able to identify him or recall seeing a man with a child matching his description. His account of the performance itself was vague. He mentioned a singer performing loud songs, yet it was later confirmed that the singer had been absent that day due to illness. These inconsistencies prompted officers to examine Solomon's background more closely. Records showed that he had previously been convicted of breach of trust after forcing his wife into prostitution. In 1906, he had also attempted to assault his sister-in-law while threatening her with a knife. Despite this history and the lack of witnesses supporting his story, Solomon continued to insist that his statement was true. With no physical evidence and no sign of Martha, the investigation progressed slowly, though suspicion increasingly focused on him as investigators sought clarity. The investigation changed direction on February 8th when a witness came forward. Madame Leps, a dressmaker who lived near Albert Solomon's residence, contacted police to report what she had seen. She stated that she knew Solomon and observed him with Martha Eling at approximately 2:20 p.m. on January 31st, standing in front of a newsstand. Madame Leps explained that she was certain of the time because she had just returned from running errands. A few minutes later, after reaching her apartment, she looked out her window and again saw Solomon with a young girl. The two appeared to be talking and laughing. She stated clearly that she was confident the child was Martha. Confronted with this testimony, police challenged Solomon about his claim that he had gone to the theater. He became visibly pale and began to tremble. After a brief pause, he stated that he wished to confess. Solomon admitted that he had not taken Martha to the theater. Instead, he brought her to his apartment. He told officers that he was overcome by violent impulses and lost control. When Martha cried out, he strangled her in an attempt to silence her. Moments later, he realized she was dead. He then described wrapping the body, carrying it through the streets, and depositing it at the left luggage office at Gare de l'Est. Acting on Albert Solomon's confession, police officers were sent to the left luggage office at Gare de l'Est, accompanied by a medical practitioner. Upon arrival, they found a parcel exactly where Solomon said it would be. Every detail corresponded with his description. Martha's body had been carefully wrapped in packing cloth. Her limbs were tightly bound, with her knees drawn toward her chest, giving the impression that the body had been deliberately compressed. The binding was secure and methodical, suggesting careful arrangement rather than haste. Those present were deeply disturbed by the scene. The body was transported to the mortuary, where journalists had already gathered outside, attempting to obtain information. Bystanders protested, expressing outrage at what they viewed as a lack of respect toward the grieving family. Despite this, medical practitioners proceeded with the examination. The autopsy revealed the full extent of the violence inflicted on Martha Eling. She had been violated, strangled, and stabbed in the heart. These findings confirmed the severity of the crime and contradicted parts of Solomon's earlier statements. Following the autopsy, Albert Solomon was formally charged with the murder of Martha Eling. The discovery of the body ended the search for the missing child, but marked the beginning of public mourning and widespread outrage throughout Paris. News of Martha Eling's death spread rapidly throughout Paris. In the streets, people spoke of little else. Street vendors sold printed laments dedicated to the child, and their verses were sung across neighborhoods. The atmosphere was one of shared grief and anger. Martha's funeral took place on February 14th at Pantin Cemetery. An estimated crowd of more than 50,000 people followed the coffin. 6 carts were required to carry the many bouquets and wreaths sent by anonymous mourners. The size of the procession reflected the deep shock felt across the city. Martha was dressed in white, with white daisies arranged in wreaths resting gently upon her head. An ivory crucifix tied with a pale blue ribbon was placed around her neck. As the procession moved slowly through the streets, it stopped in front of her family home. The surrounding areas were filled with people, particularly women, who had come to witness the funeral and pay their respects. The press covered the case extensively. Le Petit Parisien led reporting with relentless intensity, capturing and amplifying public outrage. At a time when violent crime already filled newspapers, the murder heightened fears for public safety. Martha Eling's death became a symbol of collective sorrow, leaving a lasting mark on the city's conscience. The trial of Albert Solomon began in July 1907 and attracted nationwide attention. The defense argued that Solomon was insane, but medical examinations conducted before the trial determined that he was of sound mind. When brought into court, Solomon confirmed his birth in 1881 and his work making carriage seats in Paris. He spoke quietly and lowered his head when spectators shouted insults. In court, Solomon repeated his confession, stating that Martha began crying after discovering his wife was not home. He claimed he tried to calm her but pressed her throat too tightly, causing her death. He denied responsibility for other injuries and insisted he did not inflict the stab wound. The judge urged him to tell the whole truth, but Solomon replied that he already had. Doctors testified about the injuries and Solomon's mental condition. Martha's mother also testified, describing how Solomon had been treated kindly by the family and how he later returned, claiming the child had disappeared. Her testimony moved the courtroom. The judge pressed Solomon to explain contradictions between his account and forensic evidence, but he continued to deny further acts. On July 23rd, after 20 minutes of deliberation, Solomon was found guilty and sentenced to death. Applause erupted, including from his wife. 2 months later, President Fallières commuted the sentence to life imprisonment, sparking public outrage. Solomon was sent to a penal colony in French Guiana, where he died of tuberculosis in 1920.